and boom goes the dynamite.
And welcome back to another edition of the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show. This is Daily Dive. I am your host, Michael Carbellis, as always. It is Tuesday, November 21st, 2023, and I'm glad you're tuning in here to Daily Dive Lax on social media and on YouTube. Now that you're here, I will give you time to go to the link tree in our bios and click the Our Store tab. Remember, new logo means new merchandise. So we're going to have new merchandise coming hot off the press on December 1st. But right now, you can still buy some awesome shirts with the current logo, if you will. And that'll still help out the show a bunch. We thank you for that in advance. On today's show, I'll talk about Kieran McArdle's decision to ditch the NLL and play only PLL moving forward. The NLL has released their next list of their top 50, and it was defensemen like I thought, and boy, is there some head scratchers on this list. Also, the New York Riptide team preview and our blind unified standings reveal as we continue to unveil our standings for the upcoming season and where we think teams will lay. But first, let's get into this, and I thought it was a big deal because not only did I report it, but I was waiting for times like these, and they're upon us, so we must talk about them. So let's go ahead and get into this. Kieran McArdle apparently sometime is going to announce, or I don't know how this is going to be leaked, but I already said it. Kieran McArdle, the Albany Firewolves forward, and possibly the only good offensive player left on the team, is going to play strictly PLL. Now, the PLL, of course, he plays for the Philadelphia Water Dogs. I know, Philadelphia is crazy, right? But I have some speculations as to why this is. But also, it's interesting to note the stats from last season for Kieran McArdle. In Kieran McArdle's sixth season in the NLL, which is this past season, he's only 31 years old, by the way. He had 15 goals and 40 assists for 55 points, which is third best on the Firewolves. And by the way, Connor Kelly is no longer there, so it's now second on the Albany Firewolves. There is quite the speculation here that you could get to from different angles here as to why he would possibly choose the PLL. Now, the first thing that stands out would be the contract. Now, what's interesting about this contract situation is, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, I know that would be nice, but obviously Dane Smith, we had those. We don't have it for Kieran McArdle. The fact is, Kieran McArdle could possibly be making more money in the PLL by being exclusively PLL. Obviously, that would be a Paul Rabel pipe dream, is to get every star player to do just that. However, I just find it very peculiar that Kieran McArdle is the first one, because he's a very, very good player. Albany Firewolves would love to have him, and now you have to wonder, are they going to drop in the standings? Like, how bad is this team going to be? And what's frustrating about this, and I don't like going down this road, but I mean, this topic is just like for someone throwing a line to me and reeling me in for me to talk about. This is what this is, okay? It's low-hanging fruits. I can't get around this topic. And it's the topic of PLL versus the NLL. I wish it was PLL handshake NLL, but that's just not reality. It's not reality. It's sickening. It's sickening because that was good. There you go, Joe. But it's sickening because Paul Rabel has alienated the NLL in the past. I don't need to get down the road of what he's done. But this deal to be only PLL, obviously the contract situation, so they're probably paying him a lot more. But it's like, what is the... I want to know what the end goal here for the PLL and NLL is. Because we talk about growing the game. We talk about Elevate 28, how we all have to work together. And this right here, to me, does not do that. Now, granted, if I'm a lacrosse player, and I'm not, no, I have never played the game. If I'm a lacrosse player, I'll tell you what I do. I look back and I say, what league looks like on the surface it's going to progress, keep on progressing? That would be the Premier Lacrosse League. I mean, this is an NLL show here, and I can tell you right now from the outside looking in, the PLL looks like it's going to be on top maybe sooner and longer. Oh, I don't know about longer, but maybe sooner for sure. I would like to know how much money Paul Rabel offered this man, because Kieran McArdle isn't even lacrosse. He's not a household name, but lacrosse people know who this guy is. It's just so many things you have to wrap your head around. Obviously, the contract, is Philadelphia and Albany a convenient location? Obviously, you've got the family issue of, does he want to stay in two places during the year? The PLL is obviously a traveling team, because even though they have home teams, you don't really have home teams because you're traveling like every other week. It's just frustrating. Because I don't know. I have an honest question for people. Do we really think that if the Buffalo Bandits, if he play on the Buffalo Bandits or if he play on the San Diego Seals, does he do this? I mean, it has to be considered. If he's not playing on the dumpster fire that is Albany, does he do this? And I don't know if he does. And I'm going to get to all the star players since their inception in 2022. I forget who they were before this, but since their inception, Joe Resetarits is gone. Ryan Benesh is gone. Connor Kelly is gone. Andrew Q is gone. Kieran McArdle is now strictly PLL. I mean, who in the world is on this team right now besides Jake Fox and Marshall Palace? I bring those two up because I at least, I at least interviewed them. And because I saw Jake Fox on the Sports Center Top 10, said, hey, come on the show. He did. I saw Marshall Palace when he was barely a baby with the Saskatchewan Rush and then played pretty well for Albany. But this team does nothing but get rid of good players. Their best player is their goalie. It's Doug Jamieson. Kieran McArdle was the last thread that Albany fans had to hang on to. In fact, since their inception in 2022, this team made the playoffs at 9-9. They lost in the quarterfinal to the Buffalo Bandits. Not a bad deal. Their attendance average was 5,523. Last season, they went from 99 to 3-15. They were 0-9 at home, and they were 3,610 average attendance, which we found out is a total sham by the NLL. See, that's why I like being an independent podcast here, because although I get NLL stuff, I will say it is nice to be able to call out the baloney that is their attendance numbers. Because if you remember the counting thing I did when we counted the Albany Firewolves when there were 2,500 people there, and it clearly were not. We were counting 1, 2 in the stands. That's an issue. So yeah, if you're Kieran McArdle, I guess you do see something like that and say, well, this sucks. This is a sad day for the NLL. It's not going to, it may not make its rounds on social media like it should, but this will ultimately be a sad day because I don't think this is the first guy to do this. The PLL right now, from a pure marketing perspective, looks like the short-term answer. I love what the Unboxed initiative seems to look like. I love that Brett Fruit seems to be making more moves than I thought he was. He ain't Paul Rabel. I'm sorry. And until he is Paul Rabel, I mean, how big of a name are we going to see? Like Jeff Teets with the freaking Riptide, and we're going to get to them in a minute, but Jeff Teets with the Riptide only has a 2-year contract. Do we honestly put it past Jeff Teets to play in the PLL if they're going to pay him a boatload of money? Well, yeah, Dane Smith got a $500,000 contract, but that's Dane Smith, and that's the Buffalo Bandits. Do we think Jeff Teet in 2 years, if this league is not progressed anymore, is not going to seriously consider an exclusive PLL? Kieran McArdle is doing a groundbreaking thing right now that we may see more of again in the short term. I do think the NLL long term will be better, but bump that. If you're an athlete in his prime, why would you do that? The fact is you wouldn't. And I wouldn't. I might choose the PLL if I was an athlete. But good thing I'm just here talking sports as a fat guy. I'm okay. All right. Other news. The Buffalo Bandits released Ryan Sharkey. And the reason this comes up on this show today is that Ryan Sharkey, remember the Collegiate Box Lacrosse Championship, whatever they were calling it? Like before the it was before the draft. Yeah, obviously it was before the draft. There was a lot of good players from that list. It was a bunch of United States kids, basically. And I thought Ryan Sharkey was a very well-rounded player. Obviously, the Buffalo Bandits are rich in talent, so they obviously don't need him, and releasing him would show that. But it really is like, that's the only name I can think of from that Collegiate Box Championship series that I've seen on a roster. And I just want to mention, shout out to Ryan Sharkey, because I do think he's a very good player. I think he's a well-rounded player for his size. I think he could be something someday. Maybe he'll work out in the PLL. Who knows? But I just thought it was tough to see Ryan Sharkey go, because if you know anything about my Twitter page, I was a fan of Ryan Sharkey. So there you go. Yeah, this Kieran McArdle stuff is not a fun thing to wake up to, especially when it's raining outside in Georgia. I mean, rain makes depression. You understand. All right, it's 1:14 p.m. here in Georgia on the East Coast. When we come back, we're going to talk about those top NLL defensemen. And by George, what a list, should I say, lightly. Don't go anywhere. I know you want a Daily Dive. You're watching the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show. This is Daily Dive. I'm your host, Michael Carvelis. Once again, thanks for tuning in to segment 2 on the show. And now that you're here on Daily Dive Lax via social media and or YouTube, why don't you like, follow, subscribe, share all the good stuff that you know how to do and support the show. And also support the show, head to the link tree in our bios. I'll give you time to do that real quickly. And click the Our Store tab. Remember, new logo means new merchandise, which means December 1st, you'll definitely want to check that out. Believe me, there's some nice stuff going up. I promise you don't want to miss it. It's Daily Dive. It's the best way to support the show. We thank you for that so much. Alrighty. The NLL released as part of their top 50, the top 15 defensemen. And boy, oh boy, is this this list is something. Graham Hossack, number 1 from the Halifax Thunderbirds. Kyle Rubish at number 2. Okay, maybe. Brad Key at 3. Now, why is Brad Key at 3 such a head scratcher? Because even though he's out for the season, Latrell Harris on his own team won Defensive Player of the Year. What are we doing? How in the world is Latrell Harris number 7? Like, does that mean anything? Because remember, Del Bianco won MVP, so he gets the number 1 spot in the goalie list and not Matt Fence, even though I think it's Matt Fence. How is Latrell Harris number 7? Someone made a comment, and I thought it was fantastic. They were like, maybe they're trying to make people just talk about it, because obviously this list is a sham. This list is a complete farce. And for a minute, I was kind of going back and forth with that, saying, well, maybe they got a point. Maybe the coaches and GMs are standing by their morals. They don't care. They're trying to grow the game like the rest of us. So why not get some clicks on the stinking league? Why not, right? Well, Brad Key at number 3 is one way to do it. Eli Salama, number 4. Adam Wiedemann at number 5, which I don't like him that high. Brett Mitski at number 6. Latrell Harris, there you go, number 7. Steve Priolo, number 8. Again, Steve Priolo, no love for the Bandits. It's going to be funny when the forwards list comes out and Jeff Teets number 1 as a forward. I'm going to laugh my freaking tail off. I'm going to laugh so hard when Jeff Teet is over Dane Smith. It feels like they're going to do it. It just feels like it right now. Dan Coates, number 9. Jeff Cornwall, number 10, is too low. Eli Gobrett, number 11. Mitch DeSnew at number 12. I would have rather seen Mitch DeSnew at number 3 instead of Brad Cree, but whatever. Connor Kurtz, number 13. Jake Boudreau, number 15. And we're missing somebody. Ryan Tarafinko is not on the list. Whatever. But this one's even worse. Did you know I skipped the number 14 because Jacob Rouet is a forward. Oh, dear Lord, what have we done? Who screwed this up? I love the National Lacrosse League. I really do. But I don't care what clickbait you're trying to make. How in the world is Jacob Rouet in his first year playing defense, primarily if this is a thing, how's he number 14? Like, are we saying this league sucks so? Are we saying the talent level is so bad that a guy who jumps into a defensive spot is also number 14? Woo, buddy. I said, that's tough. That is a hard thing to comprehend. I want to get to some tweets from people who are pretty credible, I'd say. Shanks, I think it's Ryan or Austin Shanks, said, Jacob Rouet, congrats on your first year playing defense. Tyson Bell said, embarrassing for NLL coaches and GMs. Well, I mean, that's the players saying that stuff. So I guess there you go. There you go. I'm telling you, there is some wild stuff. Aside from the fact that we've got the Kieran McArdle choosing the PLL over the NLL, and now you add in the Jacob Rouet as a forward and got ranked the 14th defenseman, is baffling to say the least. I hope it is just clickbait. I really do. But man, I mean, sure, it creates conversation, but are we kidding right now? Like, I think Latrell Harris has been like criminally underrated for a while now. Graham, let's look at the stats for these guys, by the way, for the defensemen, just for the sake of it. Caused turnovers. Graham Hossick, okay, 49 caused turnovers, 16 blocked shots. 16 is tied for 12th in the NLL, by the way. Eli Salama had 38 caused turnovers, and he's number 4. Like, where in the world is Brad Cree had 35 of these puppies, but looking, Eli Salama had better stats. It just blows this list, man. I don't get it. I'm trying to understand this league and be enlightened on what the talent level is, and then these kind of lists come out. It's like, what in the world? Oh, what about? Let's see how Jacob Rouet did in terms of the I'm interested to know his stats on defense. Oh, dear God. 11 caused turnovers and 3 block shots. Dane Smith could do that. I mean, well, that's a bad example because Dane Smith is really good. But like, what are we doing here? And by the way, the goalie coach for the Desert Dogs called me out and said, I want to do a podcast with you. Let me know I'm free all year. And then, yeah, that's just bad. His name is Curtis Wager. He's a retired NLL goalie. And he's a goalie coach for the Desert Dogs. Never heard of him. Probably should have. Should we look up his story? I wonder if they have the stats for him. Curtis, let's hear. Is he on there? Oh, he is. Oh, this is good. No championships. He did lose with the New York Titans. Rest in peace. That was in a season that he played only 9 games, so that doesn't really count. He played 15 games for the Bandits in 2013. Had a 71% save percentage, so that's pretty horrible. In 18 games for the Bandits in 2014, he had 80% save percentage, but was 0-1. His career record is 3-8. Okay. But how the Desert Dogs do this year? So that obviously we don't want to harp on his playing career because that'd be kind of mean, right? Desert Dogs last season, Joel Watson 69.7% save percentage, Landon Kells 76.5. Oof. I love it like people say, "Have you played the game before?" And then like they peaked in high school, pretty much. Like when I'm like talking to NFL fans on Twitter, seeing that I don't think Tom Brady's the GOAT. Oh, did you ever play football? Well, I mean, to be fair, you probably shouldn't have either. Now, granted, making the NLL is pretty cool. That's part of growing the game. I'm not taking anything away from that on Curtis's part. But like, I feel like he can do more talking than he can do backing up his play. Like, is that fair to say? I don't know. I would not mind him coming on the show, but I thought like Jacob Ruway is a forward, and he got labeled as a defenseman. It's number 14 defenseman, by the way. Disgusting. What a show. When I come back, we're going to talk about the New York Riptide and where I think Jeff Teet's team is going to do this season. This is New York Riptide fans turn away. That's all I got to say. Tuesday, November 21st, here on the Daily Dive, the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show. You are here with me, Michael Carvelis. Again, Daily Dive Lax on social media. And now that you're here, click the link tree in our bios and head to the Fanatics affiliate link. I would assume they're going to update the Fanatics stuff pretty soon here because they did mention some NLL Authentics kind of thing. So I hope that's like pretty soon because the season, I don't know, starts in 9 days. What are we doing, Fanatics? But yeah, you can also shop other great leagues like NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, NASCAR, NBA G League if you're into that kind of thing. But yeah, it's all right there on the Fanatics affiliate link when you make a purchase through that link. And we thank you so much for that. Helps out the show tremendously. God, I really want the Rush logo is not even updated. Like, come on, dude. 9 days away. Oh, all right. Let's get to the New York Riptide. This is okay. So I see a lot of people. Well, I don't want to see a lot of people. I see the sports books are saying that the Riptide are kind of like a 8th or 9th or 10th best team. Woo! I don't know about that. But what did they acquire in the off season to get to this point? Well, they signed Colton Lidstone, their 21st overall pick in 2022. To a 2-year deal. Well, maybe a 1 year. I forgot. But he had 12 goals and 15 assists in his final season at Robert Morris. It was his 5th year playing lacrosse there. Mitch Wild was signed to the team. Mitch Wild had 9 caused turnovers and 1 block shot last season. That's pretty good. That's like the 14th best or 15th best defenseman. Let me shut up. John LaFontaine had 18 caused turnovers and 7 block shots last season. Also had 14 points for good measure. The Riptide got him. They also acquired NLL champion Kyle Matisse, who won with the Georgia Swarm in 2017. Shout out to Matisse. And Matisse, 34 years old, career's been kind of on like a spiral. Granted, he didn't play in quite some time, But let's get to the stats for Kyle Matisse real quick and just back him up here. 6'5", love it. But no, he in 2022 had 57 points for the Wings. 2023 had 31 points. So obviously the Wings said, "No, we're good with that," because he did drop off. Obviously, adding Mitch Jones does that. When I guess your production would dip a little bit, right? But is this team good enough, in myself and producer Joe's opinion, to make the playoffs? Well, let's show them to you. Hell no! You kidding me? Heck no! I got the Riptide number 11. Joe's come at 13. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm going to read you the most damning stat of them all, and I will continue to bring it up on this show. Jeff Teat, last season, 97 turnovers. Boy, he had 56 goals and 97 turnovers. Once again, I will tell you what that ranked in the NLL. In terms of turnovers, that was the second worst. He shot 22%. The guy above him who had 100 turnovers was Mitch Jones, shot 27%. So there's a little bit more room for wiggle room. Of the players who had the top 5 in points, which Jeff T was number 1, yet Dane Smith only had 68 turnovers. Tom Schreiber only had 46. Connor Fields only had 70. You had almost 100 turnovers, bro. And I'm supposed to expect in year 3, with questionable goaltending, that I'm just going to say, "Wow, God, they're going to make the playoffs." In a unified standings? Nope. Not for my credibility, I won't. I would honestly, and I know that his father, Dan Teat, has liked some things, bashing Daily Dive. That was year 1, of course, but whatever. I don't see a scenario where the Riptide are that good. I thought Jeff Teat wasn't even that good in the PLL this year. And no, I don't have the stats to back that part up. But I had like Jeff Teat in fantasy for multiple weeks, and dude was average. Was average. He reminds me of Trevor Lawrence right now, and that might be a bad comparison, but it almost seems like he's the king since he was young. He's been the prince that was supposed to be the king one day, and all I see is a prince or a jester. It looks like high usage, low production. That's what it looks like. Again, 22% shooting, 97 turnovers. And how good was the team last year? Well, I mean, sure. Let's look at it. They were 5-13 and got outscored 201 to 243. I mean, like, what am I supposed to do with that? It's your team, dude. I don't have to play the game of lacrosse to know that that's not good. And do I think they're going to jump from second worst in the East to on top 8 in the overall? Nope. No can do. And I think 11 is actually pretty high, considering producer Joe has my number 13. Like, y'all think I don't like the Riptide. This dude, that's the one you want to look out for. And he has a Twitter page, by the way, at Daily Dive Joe. So y'all can harp on the dude all you want to. I actually got a little bit of respect for these guys. I mean, I really don't. But it's like, I don't know. That's just not a good look to me. I don't think Jeff Teat, high usage, is going to just move the needle for me again. He might be in you guys' MVP conversation again just for existing, but not mine. Nope. I mean, last year, there were so many other good players to choose from, and this dude actually got MVP votes. And what person in their right mind would say, out of a 5-win season, they went 5-13 with 97 turnovers, that Jeff Teat should be an MVP? Who said that? Gross. Absolutely despicable. I couldn't get down with that. Sorry. I'm an objectionable person here. Did we describe it? I don't know. Yeah, Daily Dive Joe. His name's been up here for the last 5 minutes, so that doesn't feel really right. This has been another episode of Daily Dive. Remember, Kieran McArdle is now our enemy. I'm kidding. He's not our enemy, but he chose the PLL. I don't blame him, but I I think he'll wish he would have stayed. I'll put it that way. Graham Hossack, best defender in the NLL, sure. Next 14 were completely out of order. And then, of course, New York Riptide, once again, boom. Read it and weep, Dan Teets. I love this show. I really do. I love doing this show. I love talking. I want the season to start already. Is that too much to ask? We are 9 days away from the Saskatchewan Rush game, and I cannot wait for that. And don't worry, we got more breaking news coming up later on this week. Whatever. All I do is report things, okay? They're coming Adam Schechter of the NLL. Or don't. It's okay. For everyone that watches the show, you are the bread, you are the butter, you are my motivation, and you are the cinnamon to my toast crunch. Doesn't even sound right. For everyone behind the scenes, thank you for the credibility. For producer Joe at Dilly Dive Joe, what's up, boy? I'm your host, Michael Carvello, saying this show has been horrible. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day, guys. Bye.